What if the most dangerous battles aren't the ones fought in distant lands, but the quiet, insidious wars waged in our closest relationships? Toxic connections often masquerade as love, friendship, or loyalty, subtly eroding our peace of mind and self-worth. They aren't marked by grand confrontations, but by small, relentless invasions of our boundaries and the constant strain of emotional manipulation. The tension is invisible yet palpable, like sitting in a room where every word spoken feels like a hidden threat. You can sense the undercurrent of judgment, the silent accusations, and the unspoken expectations hanging in the air, suffocating your sense of self. Have you ever wondered why some people drain your energy while others uplift you? What if the real challenge is not in confronting these toxic dynamics, but in learning to navigate them with wisdom and grace? Every day, millions grapple with relationships that sap their strength, leaving them questioning their worth and second-guessing their decisions. Marcus Aurelius faced these very human struggles in his own life, surrounded by political intrigue, betrayal, and complex personal ties. He recognized that the battle against toxicity wasn't just an external one, it was a profound internal journey of self-control, boundaries, and resilience. As you explore these insights from Marcus Aurelius, you'll discover that true power lies not in changing others, but in mastering yourself. By the end of this journey, you'll not only have tools to handle toxic relationships, but a deeper understanding of how to safeguard your inner peace and reclaim your power. 3. Set clear boundaries to protect your inner peace. Toxic relationships often blur the lines between what is acceptable and what is damaging, leaving you feeling drained, manipulated, or constantly on edge. Marcus Aurelius, despite being surrounded by the political and personal complexities of his time, understood that protecting one's inner peace required the establishment of firm boundaries. To set clear boundaries is not an act of selfishness, but a necessary measure of self-respect. It's about defining the lines that others cannot cross, whether it's respecting your time, your emotions, or your personal space. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They are about preserving your well-being and maintaining the balance that allows you to function at your best. Marcus Aurelius believed in the power of self-control and discipline, and this extends to how you allow others to treat you. Imagine your mind as a sacred space, a sanctuary that needs to be protected from the chaos of the outside world. Without boundaries, you leave the doors wide open, allowing toxic influences to invade and disrupt your peace. Setting boundaries means consciously deciding what behaviors you will accept and what you will not, and then communicating these limits clearly and assertively. It's about being able to say no without guilt, to step back when necessary, and to disengage from interactions that are harmful. Marcus would remind us that just as a fortress is guarded, so too must we guard our minds and our emotional spaces. Boundaries are also crucial because they teach others how to treat you. When you set and enforce boundaries, you are sending a clear message that you value yourself and that you expect others to do the same. It's about showing that while you are open to connection, you are not willing to compromise your well-being for it. This doesn't mean being rigid or unkind. It means being firm and consistent in how you allow others into your life. Marcus Aurelius often spoke of the importance of living in harmony with others, but he also understood that harmony begins within. When you respect your own boundaries, others are more likely to follow suit, creating healthier, more balanced relationships. Setting boundaries also helps you manage your emotional energy. Toxic relationships are often marked by drama, manipulation, and constant demands that can leave you feeling depleted. By establishing clear limits, you create a buffer that shields you from unnecessary stress and emotional turmoil. Marcus Aurelius knew that maintaining inner calm was crucial, especially when faced with external chaos. Boundaries act as that protective shield, allowing you to engage with the world on your terms, rather than being pulled into every conflict or emotional upheaval around you. They give you the space to reflect, to recharge, and to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. However, setting boundaries is not a one-time action, it's an ongoing practice. It requires vigilance, consistency, and sometimes the courage to have uncomfortable conversations. You may face resistance from those who benefit from crossing your boundaries, but standing firm is a vital act of self-care. Marcus Aurelius believed that the only things within our control are our own actions and decisions. By taking responsibility for setting and maintaining boundaries, you reclaim control over your life, safeguarding your mental and emotional health. Ultimately, boundaries are about creating a life that respects your needs and values. They allow you to navigate relationships without losing yourself in them. Marcus Aurelius would remind you that your inner peace is worth protecting at all costs, and setting clear boundaries is the first line of defense. When you honor your boundaries, you honor yourself, creating a foundation of self-respect that empowers you to face any toxic influence with strength and grace. Master emotional detachment to preserve your peace. Emotional detachment does not mean becoming cold or indifferent. Rather, it is about maintaining control over your emotional responses and not allowing the behavior of others to dictate your state of mind. Marcus Aurelius, who often dealt with betrayal, criticism, and the pressures of leadership, knew that the key to navigating toxic relationships lay in mastering one's emotional responses. To master emotional detachment is to create a buffer between your inner world and the chaos that others may bring into your life. It's about observing rather than absorbing, responding rather than reacting. By cultivating this mindset, you gain the ability to preserve your peace, no matter how turbulent the external circumstances may be. Emotional detachment begins with the awareness that you cannot control how others behave, but you can always control how you choose to respond. Toxic individuals often thrive on provoking emotional reactions, anger, guilt, frustration, and these reactions serve to fuel their manipulation. By detaching emotionally, you disrupt this cycle. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you refuse to let someone else's negativity define your emotions or actions. Marcus Aurelius would often remind himself that the opinions and behaviors of others are outside of his control and therefore not worth losing his tranquility over. This stoic perspective helps you to remain grounded, allowing you to engage with others from a place of calm rather than conflict. Detachment is also about protecting your mental and emotional energy. Toxic relationships can be draining, consuming your thoughts and diverting your focus away from what truly matters. Emotional detachment is like installing a mental filter that keeps the negativity from permeating your inner world. It's about acknowledging what's happening around you without letting it disrupt your inner peace. Imagine your mind as a still lake. Detachment is the skill that keeps the waters calm, even when stones are thrown in. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the importance of keeping the mind undisturbed by external events, understanding that peace is found not in the absence of conflict, but in the mastery of one's reactions to it. Furthermore, emotional detachment empowers you to make clearer, more rational decisions. When you are not clouded by reactive emotions, you can see situations for what they truly are, rather than being swayed by fear, anger, or anxiety. This clarity allows you to assess the behavior of others without taking it personally and to determine the best course of action for your well-being. Marcus Aurelius believed that reason should guide our actions, and emotional detachment is the tool that keeps reason at the forefront, especially in challenging interactions. It's the ability to step back, to observe without judgment, and to act from a place of thoughtfulness rather than impulse. However, mastering emotional detachment is not about building walls. It's about setting healthy boundaries within yourself. It's about recognizing that your peace of mind is your responsibility, and that allowing toxic emotions to take hold is a choice, one you can consciously refuse. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. Rather, it means acknowledging them, processing them, and then letting them go. Much like Marcus Aurelius would write down his thoughts and release them through reflection. It's a practice of continuous self-awareness and self-control, ensuring that you remain the master of your own inner landscape. Ultimately, emotional detachment is an act of self-preservation and self-respect. It enables you to engage with others without losing yourself in their drama or dysfunction. Marcus Aurelius would remind you that your inner calm is the most valuable asset you have, and no external influence should be allowed to disrupt it. By mastering emotional detachment, you build a fortress of peace within yourself, unshaken by the storms that may rage outside. It is this calm resilience that allows you to navigate toxic relationships with strength, clarity, and unwavering composure. Recognize and release the need for validation. One of the most insidious aspects of toxic relationships is the constant pull for validation, approval, and acceptance. Marcus Aurelius, who dealt with critics, rivals, and the pressure of public opinion, understood that seeking validation from others is a never-ending trap that undermines your inner stability. To truly handle toxic relationships, you must recognize and release the need for external validation, grounding yourself instead in self-awareness and self-acceptance. This shift allows you to break free from the manipulative cycles that often define toxic dynamics, where your worth feels dependent on the whims of another person's approval. The need for validation often stems from a desire to be seen, understood, and valued, but in toxic relationships, this need is weaponized. Manipulative individuals thrive on controlling others through praise and criticism, creating a push and pull dynamic that keeps you constantly seeking their approval. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the folly of allowing your self-worth to be determined by others, reminding himself that true value comes from living in accordance with one's own principles. By recognizing the futility of seeking validation from those who do not have your best interests at heart, you take the first step toward reclaiming your power. Releasing the need for validation involves turning inward and cultivating a strong sense of self. It means knowing who you are, what you stand for, and valuing your own opinion above the fleeting judgments of others. Marcus Aurelius practiced this by continuously reflecting on his actions, not to please others, but to ensure that he was living in alignment with his values. This internal compass becomes your guide, allowing you to detach from the opinions of those who may seek to undermine or manipulate you. When you validate yourself, you no longer need to chase approval or fear disapproval. You stand firm in your own truth. Moreover, freeing yourself from the need for validation empowers you to set healthier boundaries. You become less susceptible to guilt-tripping, gaslighting, and other manipulative tactics because your sense of worth is not tied to someone else's perception. This detachment allows you to see toxic behavior for what it is, an attempt to control, and to respond with assertiveness rather than submission. Marcus Aurelius would often remind himself that the opinions of others, especially those rooted in malice or misunderstanding, were irrelevant to his sense of self. This mindset not only protects your peace, but also strengthens your ability to maintain healthy, respectful boundaries. Releasing the need for validation also fosters greater emotional resilience. When your self-esteem is not on the line, you are better equipped to handle criticism, conflict, and rejection without internalizing these experiences as reflections of your worth. You begin to see feedback, both positive and negative, as information rather than as a verdict on your character. This emotional detachment allows you to learn and grow without becoming entangled in the emotional drama that toxic individuals often create. Marcus Aurelius viewed challenges and criticism as opportunities to refine his character, not as threats to his ego, and this perspective enabled him to remain calm and composed in the face of adversity. Ultimately, recognizing and releasing the need for validation is an act of self-liberation. It allows you to disengage from the emotional games that toxic people play and to reclaim control over your own narrative. Marcus Aurelius believed that true freedom comes from within, and by letting go of the need for external approval, you free yourself from the invisible chains that toxic relationships can impose. This self-reliance is not about isolation, but about cultivating a deep, unshakable sense of self that cannot be swayed by the opinions or actions of others. In this way, you protect your inner peace and empower yourself to navigate any relationship with confidence, clarity, and dignity. Practice forgiveness. Without reconciliation. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as a passive act of condoning someone's harmful behavior or allowing them back into your life, but Marcus Aurelius viewed it differently. He saw forgiveness as an internal process, a release of the emotional burdens that keep you tethered to past wrongs. To practice forgiveness without reconciliation means letting go of the anger, resentment, and bitterness that toxic relationships can breed, while still maintaining the boundaries necessary to protect yourself. It's about freeing your mind and heart from the weight of negativity without necessarily re-engaging with those who have caused you harm. Forgiveness in this sense is not about them. It's about reclaiming your peace and moving forward, unburdened. Forgiveness begins with understanding that holding on to grudges or past hurts only harms you. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the futility of harboring resentment, recognizing that the more you cling to anger, the more it poisons your inner state. Toxic individuals may never acknowledge their wrongdoings or change their behavior, and waiting for that moment can keep you trapped in a cycle of pain. By choosing to forgive, you're not excusing their actions. You're simply choosing not to let those actions define your emotional landscape. It's a conscious decision to prioritize your mental and emotional health over the need for justice or revenge. However, forgiveness does not mean forgetting or inviting someone back into your life. Marcus Aurelius was well aware of the difference between letting go of bitterness and maintaining healthy boundaries. Forgiving without reconciling is about acknowledging the reality of someone's behavior while still choosing to release its hold over you. It's about understanding that some people, no matter how much you care for them, are not capable of giving you the respect or kindness you deserve. Forgiveness allows you to close the chapter with grace, but it does not obligate you to reopen the book. This form of forgiveness also empowers you to take back control. When you forgive, you shift your focus from what was done to you to how you choose to move forward. Marcus Aurelius often advised that we should not be consumed by the faults of others, but instead look inward, taking responsibility for our own reactions and actions. Forgiving without reconciling puts the power back in your hands. It's a statement that says, "I will not allow your actions to dictate my happiness." This shift not only protects your peace, but also strengthens your sense of self-worth, as you are no longer defined by the wounds inflicted by others. Moreover, practicing forgiveness without reconciliation fosters personal growth. It teaches you resilience, compassion, and the ability to rise above pettiness and vindictiveness. Marcus Aurelius believed that adversity was a test of character, and that how we respond to mistreatment speaks more about us than about those who wrong us. By choosing forgiveness, you demonstrate strength and maturity, showing that you are guided by your principles rather than by the actions of others. This perspective allows you to transform pain into wisdom, using your experiences as a catalyst for personal development rather than as an anchor holding you back. Ultimately, forgiveness without reconciliation is about finding peace on your own terms. It's about acknowledging the harm done, learning from it, and then releasing it so that it no longer has the power to affect your present. Marcus Aurelius would remind you that your mind is your sanctuary, and that allowing anger or resentment to linger only disrupts that sacred space. By practicing this form of forgiveness, you free yourself from the chains of past hurts, allowing you to move forward with a lighter heart and a clearer mind. It's a powerful affirmation of your right to peace, dignity, and the unwavering pursuit of your own well-being. Accept people as they are, not as you wish them to be. One of the most difficult aspects of dealing with toxic relationships is the constant hope that people will change. Marcus Aurelius, steeped in Stoic philosophy, recognized that the greatest source of disappointment often comes not from others' actions, but from our unrealistic expectations of them. To truly handle toxic relationships, you must learn to accept people as they are, not as you wish them to be. This acceptance doesn't mean condoning harmful behavior or letting people continue to mistreat you. It means recognizing their limitations and flaws without allowing them to disrupt your inner peace. Acceptance is a powerful act of letting go. It frees you from the frustration of unmet expectations and allows you to interact with others on your terms. Acceptance begins with the understanding that you cannot control or change anyone but yourself. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that every individual acts according to their nature and that trying to mold someone to fit your ideals is a futile endeavor. Toxic individuals are unlikely to alter their behavior simply because you wish they would. By accepting people as they are, you stop wasting energy on trying to fix, persuade, or change them. Instead, you can focus on how you choose to respond. This shift in mindset allows you to maintain your equilibrium, preventing you from being caught in the endless cycle of hope and disappointment that toxic relationships often bring. Accepting others as they are also allows you to see them clearly. When you stop projecting your desires onto someone, you can evaluate their actions without bias. You begin to recognize patterns, understand their motivations, and see the relationship for what it truly is, rather than what you hope it could become. Marcus Aurelius practiced this kind of radical clarity, urging himself to view people objectively without the distortions of personal desire or attachment. This clear-sightedness is crucial when dealing with toxic individuals because it enables you to make informed decisions about how to engage or disengage with them. Moreover, acceptance does not mean resignation. It means adjusting your expectations to match reality. It's about choosing to disengage from the emotional tug-of-war that toxic people often initiate. When you accept someone's behavior for what it is, you can set appropriate boundaries that protect you without waiting for them to change. You can say no without guilt, walk away without feeling defeated, and maintain your self-respect without compromise. Marcus Aurelius would often reflect on the importance of maintaining one's principles in the face of others' flaws, understanding that personal integrity is preserved not by changing others, but by remaining true to oneself. Acceptance also fosters compassion, not just for others, but for yourself. It allows you to acknowledge that your efforts to change someone were never about them. They were about your own hopes, needs, and insecurities. By accepting people as they are, you release yourself from the burden of trying to make them fit into a role they were never meant to play. This self-compassion helps you heal from the disappointments of the past and prevents you from repeating the same patterns in the future. Marcus Aurelius believed that every interaction was an opportunity to practice virtue, and acceptance is a profound exercise in humility, patience, and self-awareness. Ultimately, accepting people as they are is about reclaiming your power. It's about recognizing that while you cannot control others, you have full control over your responses, your boundaries, and your peace of mind. Marcus Aurelius would remind you that the only true control you have is over your own thoughts and actions. By embracing this lesson, you free yourself from the emotional turbulence of unmet expectations and create a life that honors your needs without being dictated by the actions of others. Acceptance is not surrender. It is a powerful declaration that you will live authentically, grounded in reality, and at peace with yourself. 6. Guard your self-talk against the influence of toxicity. One of the most profound insights Marcus Aurelius offers on dealing with toxic relationships is the importance of guarding your self-talk. Toxic individuals have a way of seeping into your psyche, planting seeds of doubt, self-criticism, and negativity that can take root if left unchecked. Your inner dialogue, the way you speak to yourself, can be heavily influenced by how others treat you, especially in relationships that are emotionally draining or manipulative. To handle toxic relationships effectively, you must fiercely protect your self-talk from these negative influences. Marcus Aurelius, who faced constant scrutiny and betrayal, understood that maintaining control over his thoughts was essential to preserving his inner strength and self-worth. Your self-talk is your most intimate companion. It shapes your perceptions, influences your decisions, and ultimately defines your self-image. When surrounded by toxicity, it's easy to internalize the harsh words, criticisms, and negative energy directed at you. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of filtering out what is not useful, truthful, or kind, a practice that begins with your inner dialogue. By guarding your self-talk, you set the tone for how you will treat yourself, regardless of how others treat you. This self-awareness creates a mental shield, allowing you to recognize when your thoughts are being swayed by the negativity around you and to actively choose a more empowering narrative. Guarding your self-talk means consciously choosing words of kindness, encouragement, and affirmation, especially when faced with toxic behavior. It's about replacing self-doubt with self-assurance and rejecting the demeaning labels that others might try to impose on you. Marcus Aurelius would remind himself that the judgments of others are merely opinions, not facts, and that true self-worth comes from living in alignment with your values, not from external validation. This perspective allows you to detach from the toxic narratives that others might project onto you, keeping your self-talk rooted in truth and positivity. It's about taking back control of your inner voice and making it a source of strength rather than a reflection of external negativity. Furthermore, your self-talk can become a powerful tool for resilience. In toxic relationships, there will be moments when you feel belittled, misunderstood, or undervalued. It's in these moments that your inner dialogue can either lift you up or pull you further down. By cultivating a compassionate and supportive self-talk practice, you build an internal ally that stands by you when external support is lacking. Marcus Aurelius frequently engaged in self-reflection through his writings, using his meditations as a way to reinforce his beliefs, remind himself of his virtues, and maintain his resolve in the face of adversity. This introspective practice is something you can adopt to strengthen your inner voice, transforming it into a guiding force that keeps you focused on your worth and potential. Guarding your self-talk also means setting boundaries within your own mind. It's not just about shutting out the voices of toxic people, but also about recognizing when your own thoughts have become self-sabotaging. Marcus Aurelius spoke of the importance of training the mind as one would train the body through discipline, awareness, and deliberate effort. This mental discipline involves catching yourself in moments of negative self-talk, challenging those thoughts, and redirecting them towards a more balanced and self-affirming perspective. It's about treating yourself with the same respect, patience, and kindness that you would offer to a trusted friend. Ultimately, guarding your self-talk against the influence of toxicity is an act of self-preservation. It's a declaration that, no matter how others may try to define you, you alone have the power to shape your inner world. Marcus Aurelius believed that the quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your life, and by fiercely protecting your self-talk, you ensure that your inner narrative remains a source of empowerment rather than a reflection of someone else's negativity. This inner strength becomes your greatest asset, allowing you to navigate toxic relationships with confidence, clarity, and unwavering self-respect. Cultivate indifference to criticism and praise. One of Marcus Aurelius's most enduring teachings is the power of cultivating indifference to both criticism and praise. In toxic relationships, people often wield both as tools to manipulate and control. Praise can be used to pull you in, making you crave more approval, while criticism can be used to push you down, eroding your confidence and self-worth. To truly navigate toxic relationships, you must learn to detach your sense of self from the opinions of others, whether they are showering you with compliments or cutting you down with harsh words. Marcus Aurelius understood that true stability comes from within, and that neither praise nor criticism should have the power to sway your inner equilibrium. Cultivating indifference to criticism and praise means recognizing them for what they are: fleeting, often subjective, and reflective more of the person giving them than of you. Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by sycophants and critics alike, often reminded himself that these external judgments had no bearing on his true character or value. He viewed praise as a passing wind and criticism as a shadow. Neither had substance unless he allowed it. By adopting this mindset, you free yourself from the emotional roller coaster that toxic people often create, where you are uplifted one moment and torn down the next. This detachment empowers you to maintain a steady course, guided by your values and self-awareness, rather than by the fluctuating opinions of others. Moreover, this indifference is not about arrogance or apathy. It's about maintaining your inner peace. When you are indifferent to praise, you avoid the trap of becoming overly reliant on external validation, which can lead to constantly seeking approval from those who may not have your best interests at heart. When indifferent to criticism, you protect yourself from the sting of negative remarks that are often designed to manipulate or belittle. Marcus Aurelius believed that the opinions of others were outside his control, and he refused to let them dictate his self-perception. This approach helps you remain grounded, ensuring that your sense of self remains intact regardless of how others react to you. Indifference also fosters resilience. In toxic relationships, criticism is often used as a weapon to undermine your confidence and keep you off balance. By cultivating indifference, you learn to view criticism not as a personal attack, but as noise that can be acknowledged and then dismissed. This mental armor allows you to remain focused on your goals and principles, unhindered by the negativity that others may project. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the fleeting nature of public opinion, understanding that true strength lies in self-control and composure. This resilience enables you to navigate toxic dynamics without becoming ensnared in the emotional traps set by others. However, cultivating indifference does not mean ignoring feedback altogether. It's about discerning between constructive insights that can aid your growth and empty criticisms meant to harm. Marcus Aurelius was always open to learning and self-improvement, but he was selective about whose opinions he allowed to influence him. This discerning approach helps you filter out what is valuable from what is harmful, enabling you to grow without being derailed by the toxic feedback of others. Ultimately, cultivating indifference to criticism and praise is an act of self-liberation. It frees you from the need for external validation, empowering you to live authentically and independently. Marcus Aurelius believed that your worth is determined not by what others say, but by how you conduct yourself and live according to your principles. By embracing this lesson, you reclaim your power, ensuring that your inner peace remains untouched by the whims of others. In a world full of noise, this quiet confidence becomes your greatest asset, allowing you to navigate toxic relationships with strength, dignity, and unwavering self-assurance. Practice self-compassion as a shield against toxicity. Self-compassion is often overlooked in discussions about handling toxic relationships, yet it is one of the most crucial tools for maintaining your emotional well-being. Marcus Aurelius, who continually faced betrayal, criticism, and immense pressure, understood that being kind to oneself was not a luxury, but a necessity. Self-compassion acts as a shield, protecting you from the negative effects of toxic interactions and allowing you to maintain your self-worth even when others try to tear it down. To practice self-compassion means to treat yourself with the same kindness, understanding, and forgiveness that you would offer to a close friend. It's about being gentle with yourself in moments of difficulty, recognizing your humanity, and allowing space for healing rather than self-blame. In toxic relationships, it's easy to internalize the negativity directed at you, blaming yourself for conflicts or feeling unworthy because of someone else's mistreatment. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of not letting others' actions dictate your self-perception. Self-compassion counteracts this tendency by reminding you that everyone, including you, is imperfect, and that mistakes or flaws do not diminish your value. It's about acknowledging your pain without judgment, offering yourself the comfort and understanding you need to recover from toxic encounters. This practice helps to rebuild your inner strength, allowing you to bounce back with resilience rather than being consumed by self-criticism. Self-compassion also involves setting realistic expectations for yourself. In toxic relationships, there is often pressure to be perfect, to constantly prove yourself, or to meet unreasonable standards set by others. Marcus Aurelius understood the futility of striving for perfection and instead focused on doing his best within his human limitations. Self-compassion allows you to release these unrealistic expectations, accepting that it's okay to have limits and that your worth is not contingent on meeting others' demands. By being kind to yourself, you create a safe mental space where you can reflect, learn, and grow without the constant pressure of perfectionism. Furthermore, self-compassion is a powerful antidote to the shame and guilt that toxic people often try to impose. These individuals may use blame, criticism, or manipulation to make you feel inadequate or responsible for their actions. Marcus Aurelius believed in taking responsibility for oneself, but not in accepting undue blame. Self-compassion helps you separate your own actions from those of others, allowing you to see clearly where your responsibility ends and theirs begins. This clarity protects you from internalizing undeserved guilt, helping you maintain your sense of self-worth even in the face of accusations or blame. Practicing self-compassion also enhances your ability to set boundaries and prioritize your well-being. When you value yourself, you become less willing to tolerate mistreatment and more likely to advocate for your needs. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of self-respect and living in accordance with one's values. Self-compassion reinforces this by nurturing a positive inner dialogue that supports your decisions to distance yourself from toxic influences. It reminds you that you deserve to be treated with respect, both by others and by yourself. Ultimately, self-compassion is not about indulging in self-pity or excusing harmful behavior. It's about nurturing your inner resilience. Marcus Aurelius understood that life is filled with challenges and that being kind to oneself is crucial for enduring them. By practicing self-compassion, you create a foundation of inner strength that toxic relationships cannot easily undermine. It becomes your internal refuge, a place of solace where you can retreat, recharge, and remind yourself of your inherent worth. In this way, self-compassion serves as both a shield and a balm, protecting you from the corrosive effects of toxicity and helping you emerge with your dignity and self-respect intact. 9. Learn to walk away when necessary. One of the most powerful yet difficult lessons Marcus Aurelius imparts is the wisdom of knowing when to walk away. Toxic relationships can feel like a trap, binding you with emotional ties, shared history, or even a sense of obligation. But Marcus Aurelius, despite his duties and relationships, understood that there comes a time when the most courageous act is to simply walk away. To walk away is not an admission of defeat, but an affirmation of your self-worth. It's about recognizing that some battles are not worth fighting, and that your peace of mind, mental health, and well-being must come first. Walking away doesn't mean giving up on people. It means choosing to protect yourself when a relationship becomes more harmful than helpful. The decision to walk away often requires a clear-eyed assessment of the situation. Marcus Aurelius was a master of self-reflection, constantly evaluating his actions and those of others. This introspection allowed him to see relationships for what they truly were, unclouded by wishful thinking or emotional attachment. To walk away, you must strip away the illusions and excuses that keep you tethered to toxic dynamics. It's about confronting the reality of how someone's behavior affects you and making a conscious choice to step back, even when it's difficult. This clarity is an act of self-preservation, freeing you from the false hope that things will magically change or that enduring mistreatment is somehow noble. Walking away is also about setting a powerful boundary that says, "I deserve better." Toxic individuals often thrive on control and manipulation, making you feel like you have no choice but to stay. Marcus Aurelius believed that no external force should dictate your inner state or your actions. By choosing to walk away, you reclaim your autonomy, breaking free from the emotional hold that toxic people try to maintain. It's a statement that you value your self-respect above the opinions of others, and that you refuse to participate in dynamics that diminish you. This act of self-empowerment is a crucial step in reclaiming your life and creating space for healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Moreover, walking away doesn't have to be dramatic or vindictive. Marcus Aurelius often spoke of handling all situations with grace and calm. You can leave quietly, with your dignity intact, knowing that your decision is about preserving your peace rather than punishing the other person. This quiet strength speaks volumes, demonstrating that you are in control of your actions and not driven by anger or spite. Walking away with grace is about prioritizing your well-being without needing to justify your choice to anyone. It's about silently affirming that you are moving forward, leaving behind what no longer serves you. Walking away is also an act of hope. It's about believing in the possibility of a better future. When you leave a toxic relationship, you open the door to new opportunities, healthier connections, and personal growth. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the idea that every ending is also a beginning, and that life is too short to remain entangled in situations that keep you from your potential. By walking away, you free yourself from the weight of toxicity, allowing yourself to grow beyond the limitations imposed by negative relationships. Ultimately, learning to walk away when necessary is about honoring yourself. It's about recognizing that your worth is not tied to any relationship, and that you have the right to step back from anything that harms your spirit. Marcus Aurelius would remind you that walking away is not a weakness, but a profound act of self-respect, courage, and commitment to your own happiness. It's the ultimate expression of choosing yourself, reaffirming that you are worthy of peace, love, and respect, starting with the respect you show yourself by leaving behind what no longer serves you. 10. Embrace solitude as a path to self-discovery and healing. In a world where constant connection is often mistaken for fulfillment, Marcus Aurelius offers a powerful reminder of the importance of solitude. For those entangled in toxic relationships, solitude can feel daunting, as if it's synonymous with loneliness or abandonment. However, Marcus Aurelius saw solitude not as a state of isolation, but as an opportunity for self-discovery, reflection, and healing. To embrace solitude is to carve out space away from the noise, manipulation, and negativity of toxic dynamics, allowing you to reconnect with your true self. It is a time to heal, to think deeply, and to rebuild your inner strength without the influence of those who drain or diminish you. Solitude provides the clarity that toxic relationships often cloud. When surrounded by constant drama, criticism, or emotional upheaval, it's easy to lose sight of your own needs, desires, and boundaries. Marcus Aurelius frequently retreated into solitude, using it as a sanctuary where he could reflect on his thoughts, actions, and the complexities of his relationships. In solitude, you have the freedom to strip away the expectations and judgments of others, exploring your feelings and understanding your experiences without external pressure. This quiet introspection allows you to evaluate your relationships honestly, seeing them for what they are, rather than what you hope they could be. Embracing solitude is also about learning to enjoy your own company. Toxic relationships often create a false narrative that you need others to feel whole, leading you to tolerate unhealthy dynamics out of fear of being alone. Marcus Aurelius, however, believed that true contentment comes from within, not from external validation. Solitude teaches you to find peace in your own presence, to appreciate your strengths, and to acknowledge your worth without needing constant affirmation from others. This self-reliance fosters a deeper sense of confidence, empowering you to make decisions that prioritize your well-being rather than seeking approval or avoiding loneliness. Moreover, solitude is a time for healing. Toxic relationships can leave emotional wounds that require attention, and solitude provides the quiet space needed to address them. In this stillness, you can process your pain, understand your triggers, and begin to forgive yourself for any perceived mistakes or missteps. Marcus Aurelius often used his moments of solitude to write, reflect, and meditate on his experiences, using these practices as tools for personal growth and emotional recovery. Solitude becomes a place where you can nurture yourself, rebuild your inner resources, and restore the parts of you that may have been chipped away by negativity and conflict. Embracing solitude also encourages creativity and self-expression. When you're not constantly reacting to the needs or demands of others, you have the mental bandwidth to explore new ideas, passions, and possibilities. Marcus Aurelius found solace in writing his meditations, expressing his innermost thoughts and fears in a way that helped him navigate the complexities of his life. Solitude offers you the same gift, a chance to express yourself freely, to pursue interests that bring you joy, and to reconnect with your passions without the constraints of external judgment. Ultimately, embracing solitude is an act of reclaiming your space, physically, mentally, and emotionally. It's a commitment to yourself, to prioritize your healing, and to invest in your personal growth. Marcus Aurelius would remind you that solitude is not about escaping the world, but about preparing yourself to engage with it more fully, armed with self-awareness, resilience, and a renewed sense of purpose. By embracing solitude, you create a foundation of inner peace that toxic relationships cannot easily disrupt. It is a journey back to yourself, a place where you find strength, clarity, and the courage to move forward on your own terms. Values, not in others' approval. In toxic relationships, it's common to find yourself compromising your values in the pursuit of approval, acceptance, or peace. Marcus Aurelius, who faced intense scrutiny as an emperor and philosopher, deeply understood that the strength to withstand external pressures comes not from the validation of others, but from a steadfast commitment to one's own values. To navigate toxic dynamics effectively, you must root your sense of strength and identity in your personal values rather than seeking it from the ever-changing opinions of those around you. This internal anchoring empowers you to make choices that align with who you truly are, rather than bending to the whims of those who may not have your best interests at heart. Your values are your guiding principles, the core beliefs that define how you want to live your life. Toxic relationships often test these principles, tempting you to act in ways that conflict with your true self. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself of the importance of living in accordance with his values, even in the face of betrayal, criticism, and manipulation. When you prioritize your values over others' approval, you maintain your integrity, even when it's difficult. This commitment becomes a source of inner strength, allowing you to stand firm in your decisions and actions, regardless of the pressure to conform or please. Rooting yourself in your values also helps you make clearer, more authentic choices. In toxic relationships, you may find yourself torn between what feels right and what others expect of you. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the need to act according to reason and virtue, not external influence. By consistently aligning your actions with your values, you remove the noise of external opinions and focus on what truly matters. This clarity helps you navigate complex situations with a sense of purpose, as you are guided not by the unpredictable behavior of others, but by a consistent internal compass. It's this steadfast adherence to your principles that allows you to remain true to yourself, even in the most challenging of circumstances. Moreover, finding strength in your values cultivates resilience. Toxic individuals often use criticism, blame, or manipulation to destabilize your sense of self, making you question your worth or decisions. Marcus Aurelius believed that inner fortitude came from knowing who you are and what you stand for, independent of others' judgments. When you are deeply connected to your values, you become less susceptible to the toxic tactics that aim to undermine your confidence. Instead of seeking external reassurance, you find validation in the simple fact that you are living authentically, in accordance with what you believe is right. This inner strength acts as a shield, protecting you from the emotional upheavals that toxic relationships can create. Living by your values also inspires respect from others, even if they don't always agree with your choices. Marcus Aurelius taught that a man's character is his greatest asset, and those who stand by their principles, even in the face of adversity, command a quiet yet profound respect. By embodying your values, you set a standard for how you wish to be treated, demonstrating that your self-worth is non-negotiable and not up for debate. This self-respect often leads others to respect you in turn, creating a healthier dynamic even in difficult relationships. Ultimately, finding strength in your values rather than in others' approval is a powerful act of self-empowerment. It allows you to live with integrity, make decisions with confidence, and withstand the emotional turbulence of toxic relationships. Marcus Aurelius would remind you that while the opinions of others may shift like the wind, your values are your anchor, steadfast, reliable, and uniquely yours. By rooting yourself in these principles, you cultivate a deep, unshakable strength that guides you through any storm, keeping you true to who you are, regardless of the external chaos. 12. Develop emotional intelligence to navigate toxic dynamics. Emotional intelligence, EI, is a crucial skill in managing toxic relationships, allowing you to understand, manage, and respond to emotions, both yours and others, in a healthy and constructive way. Marcus Aurelius, who often dealt with complex relationships filled with deceit, envy, and power struggles, understood that mastering one's emotions was key to maintaining personal equilibrium. Emotional intelligence is not just about controlling your reactions, but about recognizing the emotional undercurrents in every interaction. It helps you see beyond the surface, understand the motives driving others' behavior, and respond in ways that protect your peace without compromising your values. Developing emotional intelligence begins with self-awareness. It's about tuning into your own emotions, understanding what triggers them, and recognizing how they influence your actions. In toxic relationships, emotions can be powerful and overwhelming. Anger, resentment, guilt, or sadness can easily cloud your judgment. Marcus Aurelius constantly practiced self-reflection, writing down his thoughts to gain clarity on his feelings and actions. By becoming more aware of your emotional states, you can catch yourself before reacting impulsively, choosing instead to respond in ways that align with your principles. This self-awareness is your first line of defense against the emotional manipulation often present in toxic dynamics. Beyond self-awareness, emotional intelligence involves empathy, the ability to understand and relate to the emotions of others without being overwhelmed by them. Toxic individuals often act out of their own unresolved issues, projecting their insecurities, fears, and anger onto those around them. Marcus Aurelius taught the importance of seeing others with compassion, not to excuse their behavior, but to understand that it often comes from a place of pain or ignorance. This empathetic approach allows you to navigate toxic relationships with a certain detachment, recognizing that others' actions are not necessarily about you, but are reflections of their own struggles. Empathy helps you maintain your composure, responding calmly instead of becoming entangled in their emotional turbulence. Emotional intelligence also equips you with the skills to set and enforce boundaries. Understanding your emotions helps you recognize when your boundaries are being crossed, allowing you to take action before reaching a breaking point. Marcus Aurelius believed in the power of reason and self-control, values that are strengthened by emotional intelligence. By calmly asserting your boundaries, you communicate your needs clearly and firmly without escalating conflicts. This measured response often diffuses toxic situations, showing that you are in control of your emotional state and unwilling to be drawn into drama. Moreover, emotional intelligence enhances your communication skills, allowing you to express yourself assertively without aggression. In toxic relationships, communication can easily devolve into arguments, accusations, or passive-aggressive exchanges. Marcus Aurelius practiced thoughtful speech. believing that words should be used to uplift rather than harm. With emotional intelligence, you learn to navigate conversations with tact, choosing your words carefully and refusing to be baited into reactive or hurtful exchanges. This level of control not only protects your peace, but also sets a standard for how you expect to be treated, often prompting others to adjust their behavior accordingly. Finally, emotional intelligence fosters resilience. It teaches you that emotions are not fixed states, but passing experiences that you can observe and manage. Marcus Aurelius viewed life's emotional challenges as opportunities to practice virtue, patience, understanding, and self-control. By developing emotional intelligence, you equip yourself with the tools to handle any situation with grace, whether it's a heated argument, silent manipulation, or outright betrayal. You become less reactive and more reflective, navigating toxic dynamics with a calm confidence that is unshakable. Ultimately, emotional intelligence is about mastering the inner landscape so that the outer world, no matter how turbulent, cannot disturb your peace. Marcus Aurelius would remind you that while you cannot control the emotions of others, you have complete control over your own. By cultivating this mastery, you navigate toxic relationships not as a victim of circumstance, but as a mindful participant who chooses each response carefully. This emotional wisdom becomes your greatest ally, guiding you through the complexities of human interaction with insight, balance, and self-respect. 13. Cultivate patience as a strategic tool in toxic relationships. Patience is often seen as passive endurance, but Marcus Aurelius viewed it as a powerful strategic tool, especially in dealing with toxic relationships. Toxic individuals thrive on chaos, emotional reactivity, and quick responses, all of which serve to keep you off balance and entangled in their web. To cultivate patience is to reclaim your power. It is an active choice to slow down, to resist the urge to react immediately, and to give yourself the time and space to respond thoughtfully. Marcus Aurelius, who led during times of great political intrigue and personal betrayal, knew that patience was not just about waiting, it was about maintaining control over oneself in the face of provocation. Patience allows you to manage your emotions, protect your peace, and handle toxic dynamics with grace and strategy rather than impulsiveness. Patience begins with the understanding that not every battle needs to be fought, and not every slight needs an immediate response. In toxic relationships, there is often a constant push to react, to defend yourself, to prove a point, or to correct the other person's behavior. However, Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of restraint, reminding himself that the actions of others are beyond his control, but his own reactions are fully within his power. By cultivating patience, you give yourself the freedom to choose your responses carefully, ensuring that your actions are deliberate and aligned with your values rather than driven by the heat of the moment. This calm deliberation frustrates toxic individuals who often rely on your quick reactions to maintain their control. Moreover, patience provides you with the gift of perspective. In the midst of conflict or emotional manipulation, it's easy to become consumed by the immediate drama, losing sight of the bigger picture. Marcus Aurelius often practiced stepping back mentally, observing situations from a distance to gain clarity. Patience allows you to do the same, to pause and reflect before taking action. This pause helps you see patterns in behavior, understand the motivations driving toxic actions, and decide the best course forward. It's about moving from a reactive state to a strategic one, where every action is intentional and purposeful rather than rushed and regretful. Patience also helps you conserve your emotional energy. Toxic relationships are draining by nature, often filled with arguments, misunderstandings, and emotional highs and lows. By practicing patience, you avoid being swept up in the constant need to engage, argue, or defend. Marcus Aurelius would often remind himself that silence and stillness are powerful responses in their own right. Sometimes the best action is inaction, allowing the storm to pass without getting pulled into its chaos. This patience not only protects your energy, but also signals that you are not easily manipulated or provoked, reinforcing your boundaries without the need for words. Furthermore, patience allows you to maintain your dignity in the face of disrespect or provocation. Toxic individuals often use harsh words, accusations, or emotional outbursts to elicit a response that justifies their behavior. Marcus Aurelius believed in maintaining one's composure, even in the most challenging interactions. Patience helps you rise above the bait, refusing to be drawn into unproductive confrontations that only serve to escalate tension. It is a form of quiet strength that allows you to remain true to yourself, holding your ground with calmness and poise. Ultimately, cultivating patience is about reclaiming your sense of control in toxic relationships. It is a reminder that while you cannot dictate others' behavior, you have full command over your own actions and emotions. Marcus Aurelius taught that patience is not weakness, but a profound expression of self-mastery, allowing you to navigate even the most difficult dynamics with wisdom and restraint. By embracing patience, you create a protective buffer between yourself and the toxicity, giving you the clarity and composure to handle anything that comes your way. This patient approach transforms every interaction into an opportunity for growth, reflection, and the preservation of your inner peace. 14. Use silence as a powerful response to toxicity. Silence is often misunderstood as passivity, but Marcus Aurelius knew that it could be one of the most powerful tools in dealing with toxic relationships. In a world where words are used to manipulate, provoke, and control, silence becomes a deliberate act of defiance and self-control. It is not about avoiding confrontation, but choosing your battles wisely and refusing to be dragged into unnecessary conflicts. Silence allows you to maintain your composure, protect your energy, and assert your boundaries without engaging in the chaos that toxic individuals often create. Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by political intrigue and personal betrayals, frequently employed silence as a means to preserve his inner peace and uphold his principles. Silence is a strategic choice that puts you in control of the narrative. Toxic individuals often thrive on getting a reaction, using words to provoke emotional responses that serve their agendas. By choosing silence, you deny them the satisfaction of seeing you flustered or defensive. Marcus Aurelius believed that one's power lies in not being easily disturbed by external forces, and silence is a direct application of that principle. It shows that you are not compelled to respond to every accusation, insult, or manipulative tactic. Instead, you are choosing to maintain your dignity and composure, letting your actions and presence speak louder than words. This control over your responses not only protects you, but also shifts the dynamic, placing the onus back on the toxic individual to navigate their own behavior. Silence also gives you time to reflect and assess the situation objectively. In toxic interactions, it's easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment, saying things you don't mean or reacting impulsively. Marcus Aurelius would often take time to reflect before speaking, understanding that words once spoken cannot be taken back. Silence allows you to pause, gather your thoughts, and decide the most appropriate way to respond, if at all. This reflective space helps you avoid saying something in anger or frustration that could escalate the situation or be used against you later. It's about choosing to respond with intention rather than reacting out of emotion. Moreover, silence can be a powerful way to set boundaries. By not engaging in toxic conversations, you make it clear that you are not willing to participate in negativity or disrespect. Marcus Aurelius believed that maintaining one's integrity meant not lowering oneself to the level of others' pettiness or malice. Silence serves as a barrier, protecting you from the emotional turmoil that toxic interactions often bring. It is a way of saying, "I am not available for this," without having to justify, explain, or defend yourself. This boundary setting through silence communicates strength and self-respect, often more effectively than any verbal response could. Silence also serves as a tool for self-preservation. In toxic relationships, constant engagement can be exhausting, depleting your emotional reserves and leaving you feeling powerless. Marcus Aurelius recognized the value of retreating into oneself, using moments of quiet to recharge and maintain inner balance. Silence provides a mental and emotional reset, allowing you to step back from the noise and reconnect with your sense of calm. It's a form of self-care that prioritizes your well-being over the need to respond to every provocation. Ultimately, using silence as a response in toxic relationships is an act of empowerment. It's a reminder that you control how you engage with others and that not every comment or criticism deserves your attention. Marcus Aurelius would remind you that your peace is worth protecting and that sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. By embracing silence, you reclaim your power, protect your boundaries, and preserve your dignity, allowing you to navigate toxic dynamics with grace, strength, and unwavering self-assurance. 15. Reframe your perspective to see toxicity as a teacher, not a threat. Toxic relationships often feel like a constant battle, filled with emotional pain, manipulation, and betrayal. However, Marcus Aurelius believed that every adversity, including difficult relationships, holds the potential to be a powerful teacher. Instead of seeing toxicity solely as a threat, he would urge us to reframe our perspective and view these challenges as opportunities for growth, self-awareness, and resilience. This shift in mindset transforms you from a passive victim of circumstances into an active learner who uses every experience, good or bad, as a stepping stone toward personal development. By reframing your perspective, you can extract valuable lessons from even the most difficult interactions, empowering yourself to rise above them. Reframing toxicity begins with acknowledging that you cannot always control the actions of others, but you can control how you interpret and respond to those actions. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that the behavior of others is not a reflection of his worth, but a reflection of their own struggles and flaws. By viewing toxic individuals as teachers rather than enemies, you remove the emotional charge from their behavior, seeing it instead as a lesson in boundaries, self-control, or empathy. For instance, a manipulative person might teach you the importance of setting firm boundaries, while someone who constantly criticizes you can highlight the need to develop a stronger sense of self-worth, independent of others' opinions. This perspective shift also allows you to cultivate emotional resilience. Toxic relationships can be emotionally draining, but when you view each challenge as a lesson, you build a mental toughness that enables you to handle future adversities with greater ease. Marcus Aurelius saw every trial as an opportunity to practice virtue, whether it was patience, humility, or courage. When faced with toxic behavior, ask yourself what this experience is teaching you. Is it a lesson in patience when dealing with difficult people? Is it an opportunity to practice detachment from negative opinions? By actively seeking the lesson, you transform toxicity from a source of pain into a catalyst for your own growth. Reframing toxicity also helps you maintain a sense of control. In toxic relationships, it's easy to feel powerless, constantly reacting to others' manipulations or outbursts. Marcus Aurelius believed that true power comes from within and that no external force can take away your ability to choose your response. By viewing toxicity as a teacher, you reclaim your agency. Instead of reacting impulsively or feeling overwhelmed, you can pause, reflect, and decide how to best handle the situation in a way that aligns with your values. This approach not only protects your peace, but also reinforces your sense of self-efficacy, reminding you that you are not at the mercy of others' actions. Moreover, this perspective shift fosters forgiveness, not necessarily for the toxic individual, but for yourself. It's common to feel regret or self-blame for staying in a toxic relationship, or for not recognizing red flags sooner. However, Marcus Aurelius would encourage you to view these experiences as necessary steps on your path of personal evolution. Reframing the past as a series of lessons helps you forgive yourself, knowing that each misstep was simply part of your learning process. This self-compassion allows you to move forward without the weight of regret, carrying with you the wisdom gained from every interaction. Ultimately, reframing your perspective to see toxicity as a teacher rather than a threat empowers you to transcend the negativity of toxic relationships. It's a mindset that Marcus Aurelius embodied, finding value and meaning even in the most challenging circumstances. By adopting this approach, you transform every encounter into an opportunity for growth, using each lesson to build a stronger, wiser, and more resilient version of yourself. It's not about denying the harm toxic individuals can cause, but about reclaiming your power to decide what you take from the experience and choosing to let it make you better, not bitter. We began with a provocative question. What if the greatest challenges we face are not from others, but from how we choose to respond? Now you stand at a pivotal moment, equipped not just with lessons, but with tools to transform the way you handle toxic relationships and protect your inner peace. Marcus Aurelius taught us that true power lies in mastering ourselves, not in changing others. The wisdom you've gained here is not just a shield against negativity, but a path to greater self-awareness, resilience, and strength. The power to reclaim your peace is in your hands. The world and those within it will not change until you change how you engage with it. As you turn the last page, remember that every toxic interaction, every moment of conflict, is also an opportunity, a test of your patience, boundaries, and values. What will you do with this knowledge? Will you let it gather dust, or will you use it as the catalyst for a stronger, wiser version of yourself? Imagine your life free from the emotional drain of toxic relationships, where you engage with others on your terms, guided by your values and inner peace. This is not just a fantasy, it's a future that awaits you if you dare to apply these lessons. Marcus Aurelius would remind you that while the journey is yours alone, the transformation begins the moment you decide to act differently. You've taken the first steps toward mastering the art of handling toxicity. This book may end, but the real journey is just beginning. Keep practicing, keep reflecting, and keep choosing yourself, no matter how challenging the road may become. The insights you've gained are not mere words. They are your new compass, guiding you through every interaction, every decision, and every step forward.